Yo, Peng, you fell off. If you don't come back with SCR Minecraft Part 2, I might have to unsubscribe. Don't leave us hanging, man.
Do you remember when you started building SCR Minecraft?
Please continue with SCR Minecraft.
For God's sake, make it stop!
Okay, fine. I'll talk about it, but to be frank, it's not what you want to hear. Years ago, I began creating an immense project that depicted Stafford County Railway and replicating it one by one in a Minecraft world. We ended up building every single station in the Stafford City zone. I made it into a video and it got way more views than we expected. Now I promised to make update videos about it, including showing the finished city and even finally extend to places like Benson, Willowfield, and Barley. So everyone's asking, when's part 2? Well, short answer, it's dead. Long answer, let me tell you how it happened. Following the release of the video, the reception was overwhelming. Even the creator of the MTR mod that we were using praised our work, which is the equivalent to the inventor of Lego praising your Lego City build set. At the end of that video, I told that people can DM me to be part of the project, and many people indeed did reach out. I gave each person an assignment, which was to send their personal builds and do a little maths test if they can implement their building strategy. If you don't know how the building strategy works, pause this video. And in the end, we had a whole new group of builders to engage in. Alongside that, we had more roles in play. Some people who knew how to use one of the add-ons of the NTR train mod had the privilege to build catenary along the tracks, and those who did not want to build wanted to help engineer the signaling system of the network brick by brick. Plus, we also hired a technical genius, which they helped us by making a simple Python application of measuring Roblox distance to Minecraft distance as part of our building strategy. They also said that they would make an angle drawing tool, but then left the project midway because we were mistaken as homophobic, which I promise we weren't. Besides that, we had a lot more support on our hands, and we theoretically should be able to build the scenery and the tracks a lot quicker. The first continuation of the project was making the buildings around Stepford UFC, which was exciting because we televised this as our first ever live stream of the project.
Yeah!
The essential focus of this was the stadium itself. However, one common thing you will see throughout the video is that we were distracting ourselves quite a lot, which in this case was putting trains on unfinished lines. Other than that, we essentially were drawing outlines of the certain parts of the buildings. This is the stadium roof, which took over a course of 5 days to finish. Our next part was the Stafford Central Market, which we did actually get to finish the same day. So far, our girls are working quite well. It's been 2 weeks and we already made some progress on some scenery. However, we are starting to notice some previous mistakes, which might make our project delayed. Our first correction that we had to make was after building the market. The issue was the neighboring building wasn't parallel to the stalls, so we had to rebuild that singular building, which itself took hours just to even get it outlined. Now, one thing we did expect was to correct some structures, as long as we don't mess up our big buildings. Like, besides, we have several people building on these at once, meaning they should be frequently checked, right? Oh boy, when you put child labor on a bunch of enthusiastic kids that still don't know what a quadratic formula is, you are bound to know you're gonna get some top 10 blunders of all time. Continuing past the market, I structured the Riverside field alongside this avenue and started outlining the buildings that leads to Stafford Victoria. In theory, the closest building to Stafford Victoria should be directly right next to the station building, correctly angled and just a road apart. Right? Well, this screenshot tells everything. This was the biggest mistake we've ever made in our project. When you rely so much on tracks, station to station, but not the connecting scenery, you are not taking into account every nearby area. And one of the builders just so happened to build the station completely incorrectly. His station was to build Stafford Victoria at a base of 0 degrees, meaning everything was essentially straight, and just happened to rotate it to what happens to be the correct angle, which was also wrong. So we therefore had to rebuild it. It was detrimental mentally and to our time.
This is gonna take at least 2 months of work.
I said that this would take 2 months. In reality, this took 5 months. Why did this take 5 months? Well, partially because we built it wrong too. Multiple times. Our first occurrence was when the concourse of the shops gave too much space at the back of the station, which we needed to shift several blocks further as a result, along with the ticket gates upstairs. Okay, that took several hours, no big deal. But a few days later, my team started to build on what seemed to be the replica of our unfinished Stella Victoria building. I thought, that's strange. This seems like a waste of time, but we should be focusing on the actual unfinished building. So I asked them what the hell they were doing, and I heard the angle on the building was off. We need to rebuild it. I couldn't believe it. The remake of our disabled gremlin that was supposed to be the correction of it also happened to be a disabled gremlin itself. Despite what they were saying, I denied it all the way because I swore we built a staging judging on what was already structured around us. But apparently, even the market and the building we tried to fix earlier was also incorrect, which led us back to square one. I even questioned whether the railway bridge was at 0 degrees, because if I had to correct the bridge, I had to correct everything that was linking it. Financial quarter, Beachley Triangle, City Hospital, heck, everything. So I spent a whole 2 hours judging whether our building was incorrectly built, because it still wasn't proven to me.
Can you get Peng is too stubborn? I am stubborn for this, but I still stand my fact.
I had to quickly bring over the OG developer, MattyX 2013, just to even help justify our situation.
I think compared to the one over there is sort of the more accurate to in the game. I mean, if you want to use this one, it's fine. It just won't be.
And following that 2-hour conversation, I announced to the whole team the next morning that we messed up on what Stella Victoria was supposed to look like. This, in fact, was the biggest motivator of our whole project. This was a whole month we wasted on, for nothing. So I unfortunately started to lose trust with the other builder, and I had to build Stella Victoria myself and the market area again. I pulled late nights to this. I took days when I had the opportunity to build it again and again and again. And after 4 months of work, I finally made the real and finalized version of Stella Victoria. Fully correct, and thankfully, I did not have to rebuild every station. The only thing I did have to do was to move the bridge and financial quarter a couple dozen blocks to align the platform approach, but it was okay, since financial quarter wasn't strictly connected to anything, but only the tracks coming from the Beachley Triangle, which wasn't accurately placed anyway. 2023 is over. It's now 2024 and it's Valentine's Day. And despite finishing our job really slowly, we were back open for business and moved on to work on the riverside between Stella Victoria and Stafford Central. Now, after dealing with just an immense operation like rebuilding Stella Victoria for the third time, this was so laid back than anything else. Unlike questioning how the platforms are meant to curve with so many angle combinations, we had to deal with it one angle at a time.
It legends so well! Dude!
Oh my god,
I love Bath.
The roads were perhaps the most annoying part, but it was fine. After finishing the riverside, it did create a problem, which was that the road we made along the river did not fit the underpass of the railway bridge that connects between Stafford Central and City Hospital. It was annoying because I had to widen the underpasses across the whole bridge, but it wasn't as bad as this. Of course, nothing had changed when it came to distracting ourselves with whatever this is and creating a whole European map of fanboys.
I think the best creation we've done for the past 3 months is the fanboy Europe map.
The what? My home country. Oh no. Jeez, cute though.
Our next area that we decided to fill with scenery is City Hospital. So after we fixed the Beachley Triangles tracks to allow catenary to be implemented, we started focusing on the massive road intersection right next to the hospital building. One of the roads that leads to this intersection started at Beachley, which was our starting point to build that leading road. I did take an all-nighter for this, but apparently I didn't record that. But we didn't build much afterwards. We paused for March since I had to take exams that would determine the next few years of my life and was generally busy, so therefore no activity was encouraged. Fast forward to June, exams were done, and I was free. We came back to daily building sessions. So after the road was done, we didn't waste time. The following buildings that go along these roads, and with a final blow on this bridge connecting to the other side of the river. What I didn't tell you was that building City Hospital scenery was done in the span of exactly 5 months. Yeah, that break did take a lot of time. Out of all the scenery areas we worked on, this was the most exciting one because we are moving into Funky Town! Stafford City. We started at Stafford East, connecting the road and its buildings all the way to the second river of the city, which we then created. We got to build the Stafford Connect building. I found this video where it looked like I was moving everything to fit this building in the correct place. I don't know, man. We made too many corrections to keep track of. Besides, what you're about to see was one of the most satisfying experiences of the project. We linked sceneries together. That's right, we closed all the gaps by building the prestigious cathedral with the big boy itself, the gardens, and this overly posh, useless marble building. And finally, we went back to where it started, Stafford UFC. Because we were finally linking all the buildings from Whitefield Lidl to Stafford UFC, which inevitably exposed some mistakes, and we had to move it. But after that, it was silent. Again. And to this date, it was the most recent active phase that we had, which ended on the 26th of July, 2024. The day before, my entire life changed. But before that, I feel like I have to pause here and address why my breaks keep interrupting our team's progress. And that's because it depended on whether I had time to waste or not. I don't want to insult these wonderful builders, alright? They're like my adopted children. But just like a parent-to-child relationship, these builders are very well dependent on me. If I do something, they do something. If I do nothing because I have to deal with something else, they do nothing. Therefore, this team actually relies on one person. Me. It's not the sole reason why we were badly managed, so I asked some people who are on the team and let them reflect back on what went well and what went wrong.
What did we do best in?
Scenery around Stafford Central.
Planning where to build it, probably.
No.
We did a lot of progress sometimes.
We were best at figuring out how we were going to build it, the buildings and the structures and the layout of them.
What do you think as a team we would have done better?
Communication. Everyone did their own thing.
We did too much fooling around. Most people applied and showed up one time and then never again because I don't know what they got. Maybe unmotivated.
Actually getting stuff done. And not many people have been free. Yeah, we haven't been very committed to this recently.
Probably where to put the stations.
You can't just put the same answer in both questions.
But our team wasn't so bad after all. What I didn't mention was that there are other areas that were finalized simply without me, like the Syrian of St. Helens Bridge and a lot of the Stafford City works. And that's all thanks to some wonderful builders and especially to Roll Minor.
I really like to, acknowledge the fact that you've definitely worked hard the most. You probably worked hard even more than me. You were nailing the scenery, and I feel like you're one of the builders that just made things much more simpler.
That's really kind.
But I also have to thank all these builders who at least logged in once this server. During her hiatus, SCR did get some massive updates. In fact, the only times we broke the hiatus are when updates came out. The very first thing was Stafford Central's new entrance, which did well make our station outdated. And finally, Metro, with a new track layout at City Hospital and new platforms to implement at Stafford Central, Stafford East, and whole new stations of High Street and Four Ways. We even had more to work with, but judging from the fact that our scenery wasn't even that complete, it didn't matter. We did try to build Stafford Central's Metro stop, but you're seeing nothing, because I didn't save the server files at that stage. But that was the last collaborative thing we did in this project. It seemed that we were falling behind, and we were just racing against nothing, with no permanent drive to keep us growing.
At the time when the project of the flow stopped, I was going through a major change in life. I moved across the country with a totally new environment, new friends, and new life. Therefore, I felt like I was losing my sense of belonging, erasing parts of my old life that I left behind, as well as worrying if I was going to lose touch with any close people back home, disrupt my ongoing relationships, or even disrupt myself as a result. That led me to one of the worst phases of my life, and I was mentally destroyed. To get myself back up, I had to find myself again and recalibrate. I only focused on what was important for me in that particular moment. That made me let go of many things, and one of them was SCR Minecraft. I did take breaks, yes, but I never stopped thinking about the project, and cutting it off completely was a tough but relieving decision to make. Looking back, it was such a wild journey that I gave to myself and many others who took part to chase such wild, irrational idea that some subscriber asked me to do. In the end, it didn't matter that it failed, but the fact that it happened is the only thing we should care about.
But I'm not going to put it into the bin for everyone. In the description, I have linked a download access to the world where you can have it yourself and do whatever you want with it. You can finish what we haven't finished, or you can just blow stuff up. If you believe that you can continue this project, prove it. You have no excuse now. But other than that, thank you for watching. I was anticipating this video would happen at some point, and it finally happened. As some of you may know, I'm not doing much SCR content anymore. But if you are looking forward to seeing familiar transport content outside of the SCR scope, please subscribe. And if you made it this far, might as well like the video. Okay, bye.